Welcome to House Fluent Inspections Radio, where we hope you enjoy stress-free home buying, home selling, and home ownership. I'm your host, Brian Botch, owner of House Fluent Inspections. I'm joined today by Bill Beck. We are both licensed professional inspectors here in the state of Texas, and we want to help relieve that anxiety, alleviate those butterflies, and empower you to make smart, informed decisions by arming you with information about your home. Well, welcome to the show, guys. Bill, Kelly, another week has gone by. It's pretty amazing.
It has. The flood.
The flood.
The flood has stopped.
Last week it was snowpocalypse. This week it's rainpocalypse.
Sun came out for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And it's 34 degrees out there.
That's right.
It's gorgeous.
We have a very special guest joining us in the studio today. We have Travis Simons from Freedom Windows. Welcome, Travis.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Well, good. We're excited to have you. So tell us a little bit about Freedom Windows.
So Freedom Windows is a family-owned, veteran-operated business. We specialize in residential glass windows and doors, and we're just trying to be that voice for the little guy that doesn't want to get swallowed up by the monsters of overpriced and way oversold windows.
Very cool. So you just specialize in residential?
So we do a little bit of commercial,
Uh-huh.
but our specialty is most definitely residential. That's our bread and butter. That's where we really like to be, is in people's houses.
Very cool. So what made you guys decide to specialize in residential windows?
Truth be told, I bought a house and it needed new windows, and so I had everyone come out and start quoting me windows,
Yeah.
and I scoffed at every single one of them and just couldn't bring myself to spend that kind of money on windows.
Yeah.
And called my father-in-law, who's a longtime general contractor, handyman, hammer swinger. You know, he's done houses for Habitat for Humanity, and pretty much if it needs to be built, he can do it.
Right.
I said, how hard is it to put windows in? He goes, oh, it's not hard. I do it all the time. Well, show me your ways, wise one. How does this work? And so he came over and we got some measurements and ordered windows and did my house for a fraction of what everybody else was charging.
Sure.
Found out I really enjoyed it. I liked doing it, and it made me feel good to save that kind of money. And if it made me feel good to save that kind of money, then I knew it would make everybody else feel good to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I had just gotten out of the military, and I was kind of bouncing around job here, job there, and didn't really settle on anything. And so it was just the logical kind of decision to start up our own business and start doing residential windows. And from there we branched into glass, because glass and windows kind of go together. And
Right,
from there we
sure.
branched into doors.
Yeah.
The energy efficiency kind of package, the trifecta: glass, windows, and doors.
Got it.
And we've been doing it ever since.
Very cool. So so you guys got out, you started the window company.
Yeah,
And so much like Bill, you kind of bounced around for a while. Which,
I did. So I got out of the Army in 2016, and
Bill's bouncy.
I didn't do that much bouncing.
it's the coffee. It makes you jittery. It's okay. But yeah, so I got out in 2016 and had a business degree and tried to use it in a bunch of different places. And
Yeah.
suit, tie, corporate America in an office just was not a fit for me. And
I hear that.
right? You know,
Yeah.
I felt like the tie was choking me every day, and the
Mhm,
suit was
sure.
uncomfortable, and I hated being in the stuffy office. And well, I have a degree. That's what I'm supposed to do, right?
I would not get that impression just looking at you the first time
So
at all.
this is the me that you see now, but that me was fresh out of the military,
Oh,
clean
yeah.
cut, clean
Yeah.
shaven,
Sure.
you know, and
Nothing's been trimmed since.
That's right. That's right. So I decided that I was follically repressed, and I was just going to let it all grow wild, man.
There we go.
But yeah, and so we started up the window business, Freedom Windows, and I'm never looked back and happy to do it the whole time.
Very cool.
So,
Saw a window of opportunity out there.
ooh, well done.
God, we knew that was
Well
God,
done.
we knew that was
Boom,
coming.
boom. All right. Remember, you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. Use that hashtag #MyHomeQuestion. We do try and get to those on the show. You can find us on Facebook, at Instagram, and at housefluent.com. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting app, remember, please hit that subscribe button. That helps us out a lot. Share us with your friends. And we have just sort of dipped our toes into the YouTube water at the encouragement of Mr. Lamont over here. So we're working down that path. Our YouTube channel's a little rough at the moment, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
We'll blend right in.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I was about to say YouTube is a wild west, so you'll just blend right in. It's all good.
Yeah.
We're going to actually have Brian doing makeup tips here in the next couple of weeks.
I
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hair,
in a bubble bath.
hair and
Exactly.
styling, and there you go.
Yeah.
It'll go viral.
It's so me.
It'll go viral.
That'd be our biggest show yet.
It probably would.
All right. So in case you haven't guessed, we're going to be talking windows today. So I thought, Travis, we might start with some of the things that Bill and I see a lot.
Sure.
And windows are one of the things in homes when we do home inspections. They get neglected the most, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
And we see windows all the time that they literally look like they haven't been opened in 20 years. There's 8 inches of dirt in the track around the window. They're stuck shut, they don't open, they don't work right, sash cords are broken, glass has failed, all sorts of things.
So like a typical house in Texas?
Typical house in Texas.
Okay, right on the mark. Yep.
Yeah.
Spider webs.
Well,
Can't get to them.
I know this is going to come as a shock to everybody, but Texas is not exactly ideal window opening weather.
Sure.
We have like
a week.
We have like those 7 days out of the year,
Yeah,
and
right.
not consecutive, that it's nice to open the windows when it's actually a decent day and we're not getting attacked by pollen or allergens or whatever's blowing up from the Gulf or whatever.
Or rain
or
sleet
heat or mosquitoes
heat
or sleet or tornadoes. And that was just last Saturday.
You're not doing a good job of selling Texas, by the way.
Well, yeah. You know what they say, if you don't like the weather in Texas, wait 5 minutes, it'll change.
Yeah, that's true.
We love breathing the same air year round.
Indeed.
That's important.
But because of that, windows really take a beating. And
they've
kind of become that redheaded stepchild of the house that everyone sees and sometimes can see out of, depending on the glass.
Right.
But it's neglected. People focus on the floor, on the kitchen, on the bathroom, on the paint, on the
let's face
walls and the visible, I'll call the high profile touch-ups and remodels of the house. Well, they're overlooking one of the most important things that you need to maintain. And I'm not just saying that because I have a window company. I'm saying that because it's one of the most important things that you need to maintain in the house.
Oh, I agree.
Because it's a vacuum seal for your energy bill.
Sure.
And so what you're seeing a lot of, we encounter on the day-to-day basis. And as far as the sashes being stuck, the gunk, and that's just basic cleaning. Go through and clean your window once a year, be advantageous. Maybe do it twice a year.
Sure.
And there's nothing special to that. Open it up. Get a Clorox wipe out the track. Make sure get your vacuum hose in there and suck all the cobwebs and mosquito guts and whatever else is in there. And that's just kind of some really simple stuff you can do to help it open and close. WD-40 is a wonderful thing. Those sash springs just get stuck and gunked up.
Sure.
Just like any spring hinge or opening closing apparatus, they just get gunked up over time. So they just need a little lubricant to break that up. But the biggest thing is that failed glass. And so, surprise, surprise, Texas, we have foundation issues.
Right.
And we know that. I'm sure you guys see that all the time.
So when you talk about failed glass, Travis, I just want to make sure people understand you're not talking about broken windows necessarily.
Correct.
You're talking about what's called a fogged window or a broken seal.
Right. And so people refer to it as a broken seal. They'll say I have a fogged window or I have moisture between the pane. We hear that a lot.
Yep.
And so what we say is that is a failed seal or a failed piece of glass.
Right.
And so what that means is that over time, the foundational shifting and then the hot and cold transfer that's Texas wears down the seal that holds the two panes of glass together. So for those listening at home that don't know how glass works, a glass unit is two pieces of glass.
Sure.
So you have your interior or inside piece of glass. You have a 1/16, an 1/8, or a 1/4 inch seal between it, depending on how thick the glass is. And then you have another piece of glass that's the external or outside piece of glass that's on top of that. And then in between those panes of glass is something called argon gas. And so argon is a heavy inert gas that's clear. And what that does is that acts as insulation or a buffer. Think attic insulation, but you can't see this one.
Right.
And so what that does is that insulates those panes of glass in an effort to keep the heat out and the cold out and keep what you're doing in. Everybody's mom said, well, don't air condition the outside. Right? We all heard that growing up.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, that's kind of what this does. And so the whole point behind that is it's that buffer between the glass to keep that out. Well, once that seal has broken over foundational shift or hot cold transfer or just degradation over time, that argon gas starts to leak out.
Okay.
Well, once the argon gas has leaked out, that now allows oxygen and carbon dioxide to come into that glass.
Okay.
Allows moisture in there, and so that's where you literally pick up moisture between the glass. So the glass will do something called fogging, which is where it gets that really kind of milky, cloudy, white substance that's on the glass, and you get your Windex, you get your cleaner, your spray away, and you scrub. and it doesn't do anything because
Right.
you can't wipe it off because it's in between the panes of glass.
I got a house full of them.
And so, right, and what that is that will eventually, so moisture turns to mildew, mildew turns to mold, and then mold turns to all sorts of problems in between the glass.
Sure.
And so that's what I mean when I say failed glass, a ruptured seal, and that's really, really common in Texas.
So when you see that,
Anywhere, really.
and this is a common question we get, right? When you see that, is that something that can A, be repaired? B, do you have to replace the whole window? Or C, can you just replace the glass? Or how does that work? How do you deal with that?
So we'll go with B and C.
Okay.
And so I was talking to Kelly about this morning. So anyone that tells you that they heard from whoever they heard from, that you can take that glass out and separate the panes and vacuum out the moisture. You get a vacuum or whatever special device they have, and they suck all the moisture out, and then they reseal it together. That is an old wives' tale. It's not possible. It doesn't work.
Okay.
So your options are to replace the glass or to replace the entire window. But certain situations, you can do one or the other. And so kind of jumping to the next thing, which is windows. So if you have those old builder's grade aluminum frame, clear over clear, non-low E glass, well, even if I come in and I replace that glass, the window itself is still energy inefficient.
Okay.
And so
that's a few weeks ago we talked about net zero building,
sure,
right? And Windows was one of the things we discussed a lot with that.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, what you're talking about, where you're headed now, is sort of that energy efficient, what Windows can do for you.
Yeah.
And so really, how big of an impact is your Windows in terms of your energy efficiency? And then where do you see that going in, maybe even in the next 5 years?
Okay. So windows themselves are the largest place in the home where you lose energy.
Yeah.
Because think about it. You have windows all across the house. Other than a bathroom, you probably have at least one window in every room in your house.
Sure.
And so what that does, and I'm sure you guys see this, is it creates hot or cold pockets in the home. It creates those temperature imbalances.
Yeah.
And so what that does is, so it's 30 degrees outside right now, and you want your house at 70. So you've got your house set at 70. Well, your air conditioning or your heater is having to work harder to balance the temperature, to balance out that homeostasis in the home in front of those windows, because it's allowing all that cold air from the outside to come in.
Right.
So it's working twice as hard to balance out those pockets.
Yeah, and we see that a lot on the thermal camera. So as we're checking the house and looking through the thermal camera, we'll see that air movement.
So what we've typically found is it's a plus or minus 5 to 8 degree variance.
Just right there
in front of the windows.
Oh wow.
And so on an older window, the aluminum frame, the non-energy efficient glass, so we'll use easy numbers. If it's 70 in the house, if it's 30 outside the house, well, it's going to be 35 to 38 in front of that window. Whereas if you have a newer window, it's vinyl frame, right? So it's not conducting that energy, the cold or hot.
Sure.
Modern glass, energy efficient glass. Well, now it's 62 to 65 in front of that window, as opposed to the 30, right it is over there. So you're having to work a lot less hard to balance out those rooms. And so it really does make a huge effect. So I'll tell one of my favorite stories. We did work for a gentleman. I didn't do it.
That was me.
Everything okay there?
We're good.
Wasn't me. That's all that matters. I didn't do it.
Window.
So he had
Keyboard.
3 window units, the window air conditioning units in his house. And his house was so hot that they literally had rooms that they couldn't use in the summer during particular times of the day because the heat was just so hot.
Oh, wow.
They had a leather couch in the living room that they couldn't sit on between like 11 and 3 because it was too hot from the windows.
Yeah.
They couldn't use the kitchen except for first thing in the morning and then at the end of the evening, because during the day, if they had the stove or anything going in there, it was just so hot that it was unbearable.
Oh, wow.
So they had their brand new air conditioning unit as well as 3 window units in the house just to try to make it livable.
Wow.
So we went in and we took out all their windows. These were aluminum pane, clear over clear glass, no energy efficiency. We pulled all the windows. We pulled all the doors. We went in with new doors, new windows. And that very next day, they called me excited because for the first time ever, their house was at the temperature that they set it at.
Wow.
With no additional window units. We threw away all the window units, told them they wouldn't need them.
Okay.
And they were able to use their couch. They were able to use the kitchen. Their entire house became livable again
Just from doors and windows.
Just from doors and windows.
That's
So
without even upgrading the insulation.
Right, and
imagine
that
putting insulation in the attic.
Right, and so that's without insulation. That's only doors and windows.
Wow.
So it absolutely makes a huge difference in the home.
Yeah. So while we're talking about energy efficiency with windows, what people hear the term low E, low emittance windows, right? So what exactly is low E?
So
what is that?
So low E is a tint almost that goes on that outer layer of glass that faces the outside. It acts just like think tinted windows in your car. So if you back when you were driving your '99 Honda Civic, there was no tint on the windows, and so if you're driving, it's hot.
Okay.
You'd even get like the infamous Texas burn on the left arm, and your arm would be darker than the other one. Well, that's because all the sun and the UV is coming through that clear glass, and it's not protecting it. And so they've found that this low emittance insulation, or the coating, goes on this glass, and it blocks the UV. So the sunlight still comes through, because that's what we want. We want windows for sun, for light, but it blocks the low E, it blocks the UV. And so it actually blocks 93 to 98%, depending on the model. So there's, getting into a little bit more deeper, but just for there's 270 and there's 366, which are the two layers levels. Yeah. So the 270 is the lower, which blocks 93%. The 366 low E is the higher level, and it blocks 98% of the UV.
Wow.
And so what that does, the UV is where your heat comes from. That's where your furniture fades, your drapes, your carpet, your wife's clothes in the closet.
So you keep the light, but you lose the
so
UV.
It actually lets in more natural light.
Wow.
So your home is brighter and has more natural light in it.
Okay.
But it is less UV by 93 to 98%.
Wow.
Which is what you want. The UV is what's harmful. That's what fades the furniture, fades the leather couch, the recliner, messes up the carpet, puts sunspots on the hardwood floor.
Sure.
Ruins wardrobes.
Now, sorry for interrupting, but does that make the windows look weird from the outside, like you have you're a crack house or something?
Not quite crack
good
house.
Reference,
but
Kelly.
Right? Well, he's apparently got some history with crack houses. But
well,
that's for next week's episode. Stay tuned to find out about Kelly and his crack house.
He is looking to get new windows in his house.
Well, got to keep the cops from looking in something.
Yeah, that's right.
So what it does is it gives a slight green hue. A tint almost, but it's built into the glass. So I don't like to use the word tint, because tint, you think of aftermarket. You go to the tint shops and it rolls and it bubbles. We've all seen that car driving down the highway, and you're like, you put that in yourself. Yeah, and I can tell because it's rolled and it's bubbly and it
and
hangs off on the edges and the line. Right. So this is actually built into the glass, and so it's going to be always seamless and smooth. No bubbles, no ripples, no ridges, nothing like that. But it's going to give you a slight green hue looking in from the outside.
Okay.
But when you're looking out, it's clear. You can't see it because the inside glass is clear. So that's what you see when you look out. So you get a crystal clear, non-tinted or hued view from the inside looking out. But from the outside looking in, you can always tell, because it will give it that slight green hue to the glass.
So there is a phenomenon with low E windows where what?
I know where this is going.
So there's a phenomenon with low E windows, supposedly, right? And I want to know, from your experience, your perspective, is this a real thing?
What's the phenomenon?
The phenomenon.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
All right. So the phenomenon is when the sunlight hits them and reflects, it actually melts the siding on Bill's house.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Oh, you're saying it's deflecting so much.
It's deflecting the UV, and it's actually melting the vinyl.
So,
as long as it's not my house.
Right. So I have heard this, but I myself have never come across it.
Well, we don't have just a ton of vinyl.
Right. So I've heard it. So. There's rumors and speculation always about. However, I have never come across it.
Okay.
In any of the windows I've put in, looked at, worked on, been into, I have never seen the edge melting, is what you're talking about, where it melts the edges of the siding.
Yeah.
Never seen it. Could it happen? Maybe. I don't know.
The old magnifying glass.
But, it probably, the whole
same thing.
Yeah, the magnifying glass theory, you can start a fire.
Seems to me like that'd be a good thing. It'd make a better seal.
Well, sure. If it burns the edges and gives you more of an airtight seal.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know where Brian's going to go with this. So I figured he was already going there.
Right. So, no, I have not come across that myself. Is it possible? maybe.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it.
We haven't come across it either. I've seen the pictures of it and things like that. I was curious from
As my neighbors looked like they always got back from the beach.
Sure.
It's weird.
Well, I mean,
So, not to change the subject too much, but I want to kind of move us along to something called thermal stress.
Okay.
Okay. And so, you've heard the stories of just somebody sitting in their house and suddenly they hear an explosion. And they look around, they can't figure out what's going on, only to find out, holy cow, my window just exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's typically caused by something called thermal stress.
Right.
And so, is that a real phenomenon? Does that really happen? Are you sort of spontaneously bursting windows?
So, again, this is one of those things where I have heard of this, but I myself have never come across it.
Okay.
Now, what I have seen is glass that cracks due to stress from foundational shift.
Okay.
So I have seen the after effects of, when I woke up and had my coffee this morning, my glass was fine, and then I heard a crack like glass breaking. And then I looked at all my windows, and I had a crack in my glass that I had never had before.
That one doesn't surprise me.
And I also happened to look up and see a crack in my drywall in the corner of my room, and figured that there must have been a foundational shift.
And it just rained for a week.
And it had just rained for, right. Well, this happened, and then
and
this
I have
happened,
no gutters.
and then this happened, and I had no gutters, and it rained. Right.
Yeah.
So I have seen that. So the only thing that I can think of as opposed to the thermal stress, so I know that, and for those listening at home, the difference between regular glass and tempered glass. So regular glass is heated twice through the kiln, and if it breaks very jagged. It breaks in very large pieces, and it's what we tend to think of with glass breaking. You drop a picture frame, and the glass breaks. Where you've got
shards.
9 shards of sharp, jagged glass that'll cut you if you pick it up.
And you're barefoot.
And you're barefoot. Which always the way it happens. You never drop a picture frame with shoes.
Never.
Yeah.
Only
and
barefoot.
Always kids are crawling around.
Yeah,
on the
of course.
floor,
And you have toddlers
and
crawling, and
now you're standing
them up fast enough.
And you're standing in the middle of all the glass.
Yeah. Right.
Always.
But tempered glass is actually put through the kiln one more time. So it's got that third coat on there, the third baking. And it's what we think of, the best way I can describe it is like the Hollywood glass or the sugar glass. When you see the guy jump through the window in the saloon in the old Western, and it comes out in little tiny eraser-sized pieces, and there's a million of them.
Yeah.
So that's tempered glass or safety glass. It's designed the same way your automobile is, to break in such a fashion that you don't have those shards that slice and dice and cut you up.
Doesn't it also have a film in between it?
It does. Yeah. So it also has a film in between it, and so when tempered glass breaks, it will explode. It'll be 1.5 million little tiny pieces, all the size of a pencil eraser, that are everywhere. So if you have a house, a bathroom window, a window by a door, something that's tempered, and you've got foundation issues, and it happens to be the east or west facing window of the house and takes direct sunlight, well, maybe the sun cooks on it, the glass breaks from the foundation shift, and it's tempered, and now it explodes everywhere.
Yeah.
So
think of your car being broken into and what's left inside your door.
Absolutely.
Those little tiny pieces.
Or everybody
of glass.
that was in Wiley a couple years ago for
Thanks
the hailstorm.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The street literally sparkled because there was 10 billion pieces of glass from everything parked on the street.
You see it at every car accident too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Thousands of pieces on the ground.
The cleanup guys are out there sweeping, and even 6 hours after, you still see the sparkle on the road.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Absolutely.
So Travis, one of the reasons we asked you to be here today, you do a lot more than just windows. You're actually involved in something called the Halo for Freedom Warrior Foundation.
I am. It is a passion of mine.
Yeah. So explain to folks what that is and what that's all about.
So the Halo for Freedom Warrior Foundation is a veteran nonprofit. It's a 501c3 that was actually started right here in the Metroplex in Weatherford.
Okay.
And so what the Halo for Freedom Warrior Foundation does is give heavily wounded and disabled veterans a relief, a boost of encouragement, and it gives them a piece of that life back that they lost at their injury. And so
how do you guys do that?
So the slogan for the foundation is, it's not the disability, it's the ability. And so a little backstory on it. It was actually founded by a gentleman, Dana Bowman. So he's a retired Sergeant First Class from the Army, Special Forces, and he was also in the Golden Knights. So he was in the elite,
parachute,
in the elite parachute team that does all the jumps. And so he was actually in a air accident on a jump back in, I think, 93 or 94 over Yuma, Arizona, and him and his partner had a midair collision at terminal velocity.
I read about that.
So they were
Yeah.
over the bowl, right? So they had a midair collision, and so Dana lost both of his legs, and his jumping partner passed.
Wow.
So Dana remembers
I've
jumping,
heard that one too.
Yeah.
and then he remembers waking up in the hospital. So one above the knee, one below the knee, both of his legs missing. And so he, of course, struggled and didn't know what to do and where his life was jumping. And
Sure.
And so he actually became the first person to ever maintain or go back on active duty status as a double amputee.
Wow.
He went back on active status with the Golden Knights, and he did another 1,000 or so jumps with them as a double amputee.
Wow.
And so he actually paved the way for everyone that's come after him, that's a single or double amputee, to maintain that active duty status in the Army or the military, Marines, whatever your branch is. And so he finally retired, and he came home, and he, like all of us, he missed the camaraderie, he missed the brotherhood, and he didn't know where he fit in as a now retired double amputee. Right. And so it started off as a hog hunt. So he called some veteran buddies of his that also happened to be single amputee, double amputee, whatever, that he'd met in Walter Reed. And they just went on a hog hunt over the weekend. And he said it gave all of them just a resurgence, a spark, and it just brought it all back. Yeah. And he said, well, if I can do that for these guys, then I can do that for everybody. And so he started Halo. And so now Halo has become a monster in the veteran community, if you will. And so every year in March, our event's actually coming up next month here in a few weeks. So we'll bring 50 warriors from around the nation that are Purple Heart recipients, wounded. We've got single amputees, double amputees, guys missing arm, guys in wheelchairs, guys that have had severe brain surgery, trauma. Wow. Massive burns across the body, missing, you name it, just life-changing injuries, and they're living a restricted lifestyle. Sure. They're getting after it because they're vets and we don't know how to quit. Right. But it's a limited lifestyle as opposed to what it was before they were injured. Yeah. And so we put them through 3 days of just 100 miles an hour fun in the sun. So we take them to the Texas Motor Speedway, and those guys over there let us. They take the vets in the vehicles, and the vets actually get to drive. Oh, wow. 10 laps on the speedway. Very cool. Racing other vets. It's not, one lap at a time, but nobody else. There's cars out there. You're doing laps. You're racing 150 miles an hour. Yeah, I've done something similar. And so these guys that maybe they can't even drive because they're so wounded, right, are now able to get in this NASCAR and drive 150 miles an hour across the speedway. Wow. So we let them jump. So they jump. They skydive into the speedway. They get to drive NASCAR. We take them on a big hog hunt by helicopter. They get to go helicopter hog hunting. We bring in millions of rounds and hundreds of guns, and they just get a range day and get to shoot machine guns and service weapons and stuff that you just can't get outside, but we're able to get, just to bring them something back. Night bow fishing and just a lot of really cool things that are all adapted to accommodate them, whatever their injury may be. Very cool. So we actually jumped a guy with no legs 2 years ago, strapped him up, tandem, and threw him out of an airplane. And he said it was the greatest thing he'd ever done. It was fantastic. Awesome. But then we also get to give back to the community too. So we'll speak at Weatherford High School. Okay. So we go over there and we actually they have an assembly with all the students. Right. And we get a chance to answer questions from the journalism staff. They get to talk to the veterans specifically. That's and ask cool. questions, and we get a chance to talk to them. And it's just a really, really cool way to let these guys know that they're still cared for. Sure. They're still appreciated. And despite their injury, they are still warriors. They're able to do all these things, and that they should never let their injuries kind of get the best of them and get them down. Yeah. And then it culminates on the last night. We have a big gala, and we've got guest speakers that come in, and we do a big auction and silent auction, and just kind of give them one proper Texas send off, and just show them the best time possible. And these are friendships forged that never leave. We've got Medal of Honor recipients that come in, Silver Star, Bronze Star. We've got Vietnam guys that come in that were in Vietnam, and a couple years ago we had the oldest surviving Doolittle Raider from World War II. Wow. 103 years old. Wow. And he came in as our guest speaker. Wow. We got to meet him. And it's
He
just
was
a really
speaking at 103. That's
Mhm.
impressive.
yeah,
The
Yes.
Tuskegee Airman, I think that just
yeah,
was 103
100,
also.
102, 103,
102,
yeah. And yeah, so it's just a really cool way to give back to the veteran community,
Yeah.
and to let these guys know that they are still cared for, they are still appreciated, and they're every bit as badass as they ever were
Sure.
before their injury. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's nice to be reminded of that.
How in the world do you select 50 people?
So
That has to be the biggest challenge.
it is, and so a lot of it is through foundations that we've partnered with, the Wounded Warrior Foundation,
Yeah.
Walter Reed,
Okay.
the Wounded EOD Foundation for Wounded EOD veterans,
Right.
Wounded Special Forces Regiment. So they send us the guys from Special Forces that are wounded, and then it also comes from people that Dana meets throughout the year, because he does speaking engagements all over, and jumping engagements, and strikes up conversations. And then any of us that are on the board come across somebody and think, man, this guy really needs this. He's kind of down in the dumps or in the pits or not having a good time. Like, he needs this boost. And so we kind of all come together a couple months beforehand, and we all throw the names in the pot, basically, and start reaching out to these people. And, hey, we think you'd be a great fit. Are you available? Do you want to come out? And so these guys don't.
I
pay
bet
for
you never
anything.
get a no.
Well, I mentioned the
Never.
requests you get. The requests will be
Right.
the tough one,
Yeah.
because people have gone, definitely want to go back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And you're always wanting to bring new people
Always
in.
want to
That's
try to
gotta
bring
be
new
hard.
people through.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough.
Yeah, but the cool thing is these guys don't pay for anything.
Yeah.
Right.
So we pay for the airfare, fly them out, we put them up in a hotel. We're paying for food, we're paying for bullets, we're paying for ammo. They don't do anything, and it's just I don't want to say relaxing, because it's not a relaxing weekend at all. It is a octane fueled, high energy.
It sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Million miles an hour. But as vetsmen, that's what we're all used to.
Yeah.
So these guys leave exhausted, but just invigorated and refreshed.
Very cool. So if people wanted to support that, where would they go? How would they do it?
So you can go to the website. It's haloforfreedom.org.
Okay.
And all of the information is there. There's a spot to donate. There's actually still tables available for the gala on March 6th.
Okay.
So if they wanted to do that, they can get a seat at the gala. They can get a table at the gala and bring an office of business, a bunch of friends, family, whatever it may be. And there's also donation levels for people that want to participate. And so you can, donate X, Y, and Z at certain amounts, and you can participate in these events with the Warriors.
Very cool.
So if you want to go do NASCAR and jump out of airplanes and helo hog hunt and hang out with a bunch of Medal of Honor recipients and really cool dudes, well, you can, and you're able to donate, at that level, you can do that.
Wow.
Very cool.
So
Bill is right now trying to figure out how to take out a second mortgage.
come on down, buddy. We got room.
All right. Well, hopefully that is something that inspires people to donate. I think it's a fantastic cause. It's definitely worthwhile. So we're going to move on a little bit. Remember, you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. You can use that hashtag MyHomeQuestion. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram or at housefluent.com. If you are listening to us on your podcasting app, please hit the subscribe button and remember to share us with your friends and family. So we're going to move on to Bill's favorite topic.
I knew we were going here. So
favorite topic.
But I knew we just talked about it, so I was just that was definitely a question I had. So
he keeps singling you out. Doesn't
I
he?
know.
No,
He does.
when it comes to smart stuff.
That's what it is. You're the brains of the
No.
right.
I'm the fighter.
Bill is the Luddite. So
I like old school.
All right, well, we're going to move on to our smart home update. So a few weeks ago, Travis, we talked about the phenomena of smart glass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so that's starting to permeate, especially in the commercial world.
Absolutely.
Where you either add or remove voltage and changes the opacity of the window. So we're not going to really talk too much about that, but there are more smart things coming with Windows.
Absolutely.
So we're starting now to see companies work on photovoltaic windows. Excuse me. And we're also starting to see them work on.
Big word, right?
I know,
Big
right?
word.
Big
That's
word.
exactly what I was thinking.
That's really good.
You probably practiced it on
That's
the way
that's
here.
that 50-cent word.
That's right. We're also starting to see them work on touchable glass, which is really interesting to me as well.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So I thought we'd talk about a little bit that to begin with. So we'll start maybe with the photovoltaic
There
glass.
it is again. There it is again.
Which is basically a solar
that's
panel.
wonderful enunciation.
I know,
That's
right?
amazing.
It's
He
basically
practices in front of the mirror.
I do.
Yes, he
yeah,
does.
it's right there with the hair. So it's basically what that is. That's a solar panel in your window that you can see through.
It is some really next generation technology.
Yeah.
It's cutting edge is what it is. And so it really kind of gained popularity, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, not long, in the commercial world.
Okay.
On these high-rise buildings, and and so anything that's above, I believe it's 10 stories, it's now almost mandatory that's what goes in.
Wow.
Just because the heat is so high, heat rises and all those kind of basic elements of science.
Cooking your neighbors.
Right. So yeah, and so what was
siding.
happening is so they have these high rises that are 10 stories plus and all this commercial glass, and no way to keep that heat down. Because even if you're putting blinds, and which nobody does in a commercial building anyways, because it's just a sheet of glass and metal structure, so there's nowhere to hang blinds.
Right.
But even if you could, it doesn't do anything but block the sun. It doesn't do anything for the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just cooking all these offices and these whoever's in the 10 plus stories of these buildings.
Yeah.
And so they realized that they can start to take some of the elements of solar and mix it into the glass, and you can get this glass that will kind of auto tint and in the dark and in the light and do these things. And so, of course, like anything, it starts off in one place and migrates to the next.
Right.
Well, so somebody with a way bigger brain than me said, well, if we can do this in commercial, well, why can't we start to do this in residential?
Sure.
And so they've started trying to adhere it in a residential setting.
Yeah. So I was reading about it. It's really interesting. They actually 3D print the cells that go on the inside of the glass.
Right.
And it actually absorbs the energy from the sun, just like a
solar panel. Yeah.
But then it uses that energy to help tint the window or to help control the glare.
Right.
So it's like self-contained. I mean, it produces its own energy to do what you need.
That's cool. It's pretty neat.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Then the other technology that we're starting to work on as humans is touchable glass. Which that amazes me, that you can have a see-through window, and they're doing it in a couple of different ways. They're doing it with internal windows, right? Windows between rooms.
Right.
With
conference rooms.
Yeah, with more of like a heads-up display type technology. But they're also doing it with something called touch foils. Have you seen these?
I haven't seen the touch foils. I've read about them a little bit, but I haven't seen them myself.
So this is really interesting. So a touch foil it's a film that's clear that goes onto the window. Okay, and when they apply electricity to it, it actually becomes a touch screen, and you can put whatever you want.
Your monitor.
Yeah, you can make it into anything.
But you could do it on an existing piece of glass.
On an existing piece of glass.
That's pretty cool.
The glass can be completely see-through except for your icons, or they can change the glass to be, like your cell phone where it's a black screen and you've got icons on there, and you can actually touch them and do whatever you want.
That's similar to the technology of like getting rid of windows on aircraft. It'll be that type of screen on the outside of when you're, instead of having windows looking out, you'll be looking at a screen, and they could have cameras outside the aircraft that are making you see exactly what's outside the aircraft.
Yeah.
You can see yourself coming down the land. You can see everything. They could film the landing gear coming down. They could, but it's to the point, because structurally in an aircraft the windows are a weak spot. If they get rid of the windows, it makes the plane a lot stronger. But
well, so what it is we're finally catching up to Hollywood.
Yeah,
right?
Very much so.
I mean, we've seen that on movies for years, where the spy or the government agency goes in to make the room dark, right?
Right.
All the windows darken out, and they pop up screens and monitors, and they've got their dragging pictures and files and stuff on the screen, and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
But of course, we know it's all green screen,
and we just can't get enough screen time.
We just can't get enough screen time.
We need it
now we
everywhere
need
we
screens
go.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. Well, why do I want to look at Facebook on a little 7.5-inch phone screen or 11-inch tablet? If I can look at Facebook on my 60 by 60 picture window,
if we can just do it on the windshield.
Better.
If we can just do it on the windshield, they'll be looking forward.
That's right.
That's right.
Heads up display.
And so we're just bringing the.
You don't see anything bad happening with that.
No, not at all. Or self-driving cars. Well, that's what it is. When you have a self-driving car, you can just have it drive you while you're using Facebook and Instagram on the windshield. While you're doing that, so you can stay up on your screen time.
We just need self-thinking humans, and
boy, if we could only figure
that one out. No kidding,
man. If only. So the technology is there. We have touchscreen computers. We have touchscreen tablets and phones.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a matter of figuring out the swap from that application to the window.
Sure.
To bring, like I said, to bring Hollywood to life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why not get bigger, better, more screen time?
We are so used to it. How many times have you tried to touch something now that's not a touch screen?
I have
my kids do it all the time.
I have an ancient laptop.
It doesn't work.
And like I'm so used to my phone and my tablet, and then I go to touch my laptop, and it goes ka-dunk and doesn't do it. I'm like, oh man, this isn't touchscreen. How archaic! Like,
what am I supposed to do?
I have to use a mouse. What is that?
Oh, you know it's bad when like my kids will when they're at my parents' house, they go up and they try and touch the television. They try and it's really funny.
Right.
They try and touch everything. Yeah.
Because it's all touchscreen now.
Yeah.
All they know. Yeah.
It's the whole like VHS thing. Wait, there's a what?
The problem with all this new window technology is little Tommy down the street with a baseball and the baseball bat. That's going to get pricey really fast.
It sure will.
And the other problem from that too. So little Tommy with the baseball bat playing the neighborhood pickup game, or the hailstorm, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to that, we still have the same problem that we've always had with glass. Glass is going to fail.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Those seals are going to break.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to have to be replaced.
Yeah.
So now you're really, really upping the price of having to do that, and it's going to become to a point where even as a glass installer, glazer, window, you're going to have that special certification.
Yeah, you will.
To do this new high-speed glass.
Oh yeah.
It's going to change the game.
Oh yeah, it will for sure.
It just needs motion sensors with lasers.
Yes.
Little Johnny comes running into the window.
It
vaporizes him before he gets
Star
there.
Trek transparent aluminum.
Nice. Oh, that was my favorite.
There you go.
That was for the whales.
Yes.
That was awesome.
All right. So we're gonna move on in the interest of time here. I know someone's got to keep the clock.
About lasers and whales.
I know someone's got to keep us on track.
Transparent aluminum.
So we're gonna go through a few client questions. Since we had Travis here today, I called through and I managed to find one window question, Travis. So
just one?
Just one window question, but we'll go.
I bet it's a good one.
We'll hit that one first. Foggy? No, actually, it surprised me. So we'll hit that one first, and then we'll kind of go through the other.
Bring it on. What do we got?
All right. So it says, I have double hung windows and I always have trouble closing them.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like every time I close the bottom, the top drops and I can't quite get the window to latch.
Mm-hmm.
If I push on the top and bottom at the same time, they latch. Is this normal?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is absolutely normal.
Totally normal.
So the problem with double hung windows is you now have doubled the amount of operating and moving pieces in the window.
Gravity.
Right? Absolutely.
That pesky thing.
And that pesky thing that we just can't seem to do away with, gravity. And so what happens is the way that the double hung is designed is it is a locking ballast system by weight and counterweight that holds that top one in place where you open and close the bottom one. Well, over time, like all things, like us and everyone else, it wears out. It doesn't work as good. It doesn't hold as strong. And so it starts to sag, just like we all do. And so it becomes a point where you have to manually apply the pressure that gravity used to do, and you're becoming a counteract of the gravity. So you have to kind of push up on one and down on the other and then latch it, and then it'll hold it, but then as soon as you unlatch it, because there's only one latch. The latch is what holds the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
So if you undo the latch to open the bottom, well, the top's going to start to kind of sag and droop and slowly make its way down.
Yeah.
So yes, it's absolutely normal. It's an unfortunate hazard of having double hung.
Do we need double hung windows?
No.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you why. Going back to a statement I made earlier. This is Texas. We don't have window opening weather.
Yeah, we don't.
So if you never open your window and it's a single hung, why are you going to open double the window as a double hung? Truth be told, you're not. So the purpose of a double hung, and again, this is just, don't take this as scripture. This is just Travis' version here.
Beach weather.
But second story, cleaning. Right, that is where your double hung is actually efficient and effective.
Sure.
If you have a 2-story house, you want to have a double hung window. That makes sense because now you don't have to get a ladder to go out and go up the ladder and clean your window. You can just fold the top sash and the bottom and clean it from the safety of your floor, of your landing, of your house, and not have to do the ladder.
Makes sense.
That's where
it's not dangerous enough for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I like risking my life.
Outside of that, in Texas, we really don't have a need for a double hung because if it's decent weather,
Yeah, you're not.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, you're not going to open it, and we don't
More
have enough decent
parts,
leather.
more parts to break.
More moving parts
More
to
stuff.
wear down. That's right. That's right.
All right, so Bill Beck, question 2. You guys pointed out a separation in my expansion joint. Is that typical of aging, and how often do I need to replace that caulking? So I guess first of all, it's not really caulking. That's an expansion joint material. If it's a separation of the expansion joint, that's usually an indication of maybe some movement that's happened, especially if you see a larger gap at one end or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when we see that, there's a bigger gap at the top, and then it sort of narrows as it comes down. If the material is just missing, which we do see that a lot
Sure.
as well, then it can be replaced with just an expansion joint compound, which is it's kind of like a little bit like an epoxy, but that can be replaced, and it does need to be replaced every I don't know, decade or so, I would guess.
Most houses look like they sent a 12-year-old out to do this at the last minute because they realized they didn't do it. That's part of the problem. Sometimes they just don't get enough in there, and if you see a uniform gap all the way up the wall, usually it's just
missing.
I think it probably shrinks as it gets older too, and gets hard. But when you see a bigger gap at the bottom than the top, that's usually a sign of some sort of movement. But.
And Kelly, in honor of your new show, I picked out this question specifically.
Oh, here we go.
So it says, I am a first-time home buyer, and the houses I can afford are all the older handyman special variety. If I'm not a DIY type person, should I be nervous about what I'm getting myself into?
So you want me to answer this?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay, well, I will give my 2 cents on this.
Kelly knows just enough to be dangerous.
What's the name?
Fair enough.
What's the name of your show, Kelly?
I know just enough to be dangerous.
All right.
No, you shouldn't be nervous.
I agree.
It's just like, say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You've got to quantify what the issues are. In your house.
Yeah.
Figure out a plan how to take care of them.
And if you're trying to quantify those issues, Bill and I are available to come help you with that problem.
That'd be an excellent use.
We can quantify.
And if you have glass or window or door problems, I am absolutely able to further quantify those.
There you go.
We can just quantify all around.
Just do a whole show at your house.
But yeah, just do little bits at a time. Probably I would not do the cosmetic stuff first.
Yeah.
I would probably do structural stuff or things that are related to your mechanical systems or your safety. Yeah, exactly. And then kind of work backwards from there, because if you do the cosmetic stuff first, you're invariably going to jack it all up when you do something else.
So what would you say the top 3 or the top 5 kind of in order to work on for the house? What's the biggest issue? What's from there?
I would say first I would make sure the foundation is good.
Okay.
Because you can't do anything without a good foundation.
And anything else you do will get ruined when you finally do come put piers in and mess up the foundation.
Second would probably be roof. Make sure the roof is good.
Okay.
And then probably third, fenestrations, windows and doors.
Wouldn't be my list.
My list would be
go ahead.
Probably structural first.
Yeah.
Along with plumbing, because those tend to go together, and plumbing is going to lead to a lot of your bigger problems, especially on an older house.
Can I change my answer?
No. Electrical probably next, just because that's usually a safety item, and it'll burn to the ground pretty quick if that's a problem. But those are probably my big ones. Roof
I'm right there with you.
I'm not too worried about the roof just quite yet, but
okay.
And typically we see most of these older homes, especially even the really older homes, typically are going to be a young first-time homeowner.
Yeah, without
which
a doubt.
always blows me away, because you're trying to explain to them, are you handy at all?
Yeah.
You're gonna.
And they say,
but hey,
what's a hammer? Yeah. I don't know how to use that.
And typically, it's the female saying, well, I'm more the handy one than him.
Right.
And he's too busy playing video games. But so they're usually the ones paying more attention to the problems than the guy half the time. And because that's kind of the way things have gone. It's kind of interesting.
Without a doubt. But I agree with you, Kelly. I wouldn't shy away from a house like that.
He's in one.
I'm in one, yeah, absolutely. But
behind the scenes,
but I mean, you will learn.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll grow. You can always. I've said this before on the show. if you mess it up too bad, you can always hire somebody to come in and fix it for you, right?
Sure.
I mean, there's
for double the cost.
well,
Know your limitations, though.
yeah, agreed. I mean,
well, but
there
also
are
don't be afraid to venture out and try it on your own.
Yeah, without a doubt.
YouTube is a wonderful.
I was gonna say YouTube.
Man, YouTube is
unbelievable,
a powerful place. Like they will teach you how to do anything.
Yes,
on YouTube.
they will.
Break
I just
it down
want to thank
the dumbest level.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to thank all the people out there that post stuff that I need. That get paid nothing for it, and I can't figure out why you recorded yourself doing this. But I just want to say thanks to all of you out there because you've gotten me through a lot of tough times.
I use it on my truck all the time.
Everything.
Something goes wrong, and I'm just mechanically inclined enough that I'm like, I can do that.
Exactly.
Where's that piece? And YouTube parts on. Oh, it's right. Okay, well I can just take this off and do that. And again, why you decided to film yourself changing out your heat shield on your 2006 to 2011 Dodge Ram 1500 Bighorn Edition, the same as I have. I don't know,
right?
But I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
don't even have to guess. It's like the same model. It's right there.
Yeah, and you can watch him make all the same mistakes, hopefully before you do.
Right, watch him bust his knuckles and then go, "Ooh, that's the trouble spot. I'm not going to do that."
You can learn so much from it. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, and so something that we did too when we got our house, we knew that it was going to need some TLC and some things to it. Yeah. And so, hopefully you have a decent enough seller or a squared away realtor that goes, okay, look, I know they're asking this, they're asking 2, but I need to put 20 into it.
Right.
So bring them down to 180 so I can still use the same money, to get the stuff done that I need to or whatever.
Yeah.
And you kind of balance it out that way.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, a good realtor can work wonders. It seems
the only thing I wish YouTube would do differently is it never fails. I go to see something I want to do, and it's usually the first guy that tries it. And then there's going to be 50 guys that come after that modify what he did and improve it.
Right.
I wish I could go straight to the latest version because I have to watch all of them to get to that point, so I don't do all the same things that guy did. And then I want to videotape mine because I'm like, hey, I'm on top of all you guys.
Look at that.
Yeah, I figured it out.
So Travis, if people want to learn more about you or Freedom Windows, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we're on a few different platforms. So we do have a website up and running, and that's just txfreedomwindows.com.
Okay.
It's actually the same handle for our Facebook and Instagram is TX Freedom Windows.
Okay.
And then anybody that needs to get a hold of us can just give us a call at 817-805-2040. Same phone gets text messages. Shoot us a text, give us a call. All quotes are free. We'll come out, we'll take a look, check out what you've got going on. It doesn't cost you anything to have us come out there. So it's definitely in your favor to give us a call, email us on the website, whatever it is, and have us set up a free quote. Come out, take a look, let you know what you've got going on, and help you through the problem step by step.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's wrap this thing up, Kelly. Thank you for listening to House Fluent Inspections Radio. We hope you enjoyed the podcast today. Remember, you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. You can go to housefluent.com to book a home inspection, read articles about stress-free home buying, home selling, or home ownership, or just generally get to know us. Thank you today to Bill Beck, Travis Simons, and our producer Kelly Lamont. Music today and every day is provided by Purple Planet Music. So Travis, always ask the guests this. What does Bill have coming up on our next show?
So I think on the next show, you guys.
This is going to be the best answer we've ever gotten.
It might be.
So let's see. So on the next show, you guys, have you done roofs yet?
You know what? Not really. No.
So I know a lot of answers today were roofs. I get tons of questions about roofs.
Yeah.
So maybe next week you have a roofer come on. It is about to be hail season.
It is.
We are coming into storm season, and that's something
which affects
that a lot
windows
of people.
too. A lot of broken windows.
Exactly. So I actually do a lot of work